I didn't see any coyote killing planes, and I only saw one prairie dog poisoner with my binoculars a couple miles away. You could see his ATV in the back. And I just continued, day after day, I just kept on going there. What was I looking for? I was just drawn out there. The last evening I was there, as I sat on the rubble of an abandoned limestone house, way out where nobody should have probably ever built one, the wind stopped and I suddenly realized something. You know what? This is what I really learned. I felt peaceful, whereas for my whole life, I'd just been torn apart, just, you know, as ravaged as the landscape herself. The sun was setting and it was bathing everything in that high plains light that almost seems to be three-dimensional. And I thought about the contradiction of this moment, swooning beauty and a moment's peace in the midst of such a wrenching, painful, hurt landscape, in the midst of so much forced emptiness. And I thought about how angry I used to be. I used to be filled with so much backlash, hatred, and resentment against all the oppressors and destroyers of the world, and how it took me so long to realize that my hatred of them made me not much different from them. I used to be so mad I would even get sick to my stomach. But here I was in this moment of peace, and I realized what had fortified my path to becoming an evolved Plainsman, even in this forsaken land. God and earth are still here, are still alive, and need us to do better, to advance and to mature, to really grow up as a civilization. That's what a Plainsman or Plainswoman is a seeker. Somebody who's ready to travel. And you know what I mean by that. Become a seeker. Don't be afraid of your journey. And we need to become seekers through reverence, responsibility, and action. On the last evening, that last night, I had a few miles to go back before I got to the little house where I was staying. And as I walked back through the fading, astronomical twilight, long after it would be dark in the city, and I was watching a thunderhead flash, silent lightning some 80 miles away to the horizon, I had one of those why me moments. It suddenly seemed crazy. Soon I'll be back in the Metroplex. I shaved my head, spray some cologne on, go to 24-hour fitness. And I was like, I thought, why the hell am I out here completely alone, so burning with the need to heal the violence and tragedy that's wrought on the prairies and plains? I've been dealing with it my whole life. I'll tell you that I don't really know why, but I do know that the violence that people do to the earth mirrors the violence that people do to each other. And I cannot and will not accept this hurricane of doom we're in. I don't want that to be our final history, and I need your help. You know, I've been living in and out of Texas since I was 7, and I know our landscape like few others. Most of you have heard of our so far successful effort to save the Fort Worth Prairie Park. It's 2,000 acres of endangered prairie rainforest, tall grass prairie southwest of the city. As someone who has been all over the Great Plains, I can tell you this is a refuge like few others. So many animals and birds depend upon it, and so many kids and grown folk are renewed through their personal experience of this little bit of urban wilderness. It may not be perfect, and yes, a road is going through it, but if your mother had a cut on your leg, would you just say, oh well, might as well kill her? Or would you do whatever you could to help her thrive and make it through? The Fort Worth Prairie Park has been living and breathing for hundreds of thousands of years, and we have no moral value if we can't save this little bit of what we have left. Make no mistake, some in our midst, including this district city council person, wish vehemently to kill this prairie. Why, I cannot fathom. I'm always trying to understand why. I've been looking at America's history and the world's history over the last few hundred years, and there's a lot that, in my own seeking to improve, I try to understand why it was. Why did some of these things happen, and why were people so propelled to act in these ways? My organization, Great Plains Restoration Council, also has a 12,000-acre reserve 200 miles northwest of here. It's a different ecosystem. It's in the rolling plains. It's been really damaged, but the rural county and our kids in our Plains Youth Interaction Program that we have here in Fort Worth, we've been working to recover it. And you know, some of those 63 buffalo I told you about, the first family, a group of them, are going to get to come out there. And the kids during the youth summit that we just had helped prepare the first little prairie dog town, because we're going to bring, create a safe place for some of these animals out there. And our goal, and with your help, we're going to grow this reserve to over 100,000 acres and maybe stretch it all the way up into Oklahoma. what we want to do with that is also, through this, stimulate a whole new slew of jobs in what we're calling the restoration economy. And it'll be for those who need it the most. And through that work, again, good hard work, people are also coming together in the service of something larger, our lives not being just for ourselves. We elevate, we take care of others, we take care of ourselves. And I want you to think, you're thinking about, why is he talking about Buffalo? They're not some relic of the past. I want you to really, understand how much they know their history and how much they've suffered. They're living, breathing, big, black, beautiful animals who have become America's longest held political prisoner, and we owe their nation some refuge and room to roam. I mentioned also the other program we have is Plains Youth Interaction, where our mostly inner city and Indian reservation youth work together to heal environmental problems, ecological problems, as well as develop their leadership. We're developing an ecological health curriculum further to take some of the principles of the youth interaction that we've developed and make that available for schools and communities and youth nationwide by the end of 2009. Ecological health is the interdependent health of humans, animals, and ecosystems. And it is in many ways like building a whole new country. We have an opportunity right here in Fort Worth to become a leader. We're already getting international attention. We're going to a conference, an international conference next week, myself and one of our youth. So you would think that a lot of times people elsewhere say, how they talk about Texas or look down on us, but here's an opportunity. I think some people even here think, oh, it's just a disposable area that we live in. But what we have here, we have actually there is no place else like it, and we have an opportunity through this work to lead the nation in protecting and recovering the earth and ourselves and creating new models of living with and alongside the earth and each other while there is still time. I believe that in general most Americans desire to right historical wrongs, and I really believe that we need now to make amends for how violently we have treated the animal kingdom and earth herself. And in doing so, we will find our own healing and redemption. So by building that new culture of caring and belonging to the health of ourselves, our communities, and the earth, we can set this example that we're talking about. And then through all that work, because it's all connected, we can help heal all our other social problems. Because protecting the earth encompasses all, and ecology is the final and greatest social struggle because it demands at its heart the interconnectedness of all living things. We have 100 years worth of work to do in the next 30. I'm sure you've all heard of all the problems and bills that are coming due. Now, climate change, species loss, pollution, strange diseases, illnesses, just low doses of endocrine disruptors here and there, creating all these different situations in people's individual bodies, which is an ecosystem itself. Right here, the Great Plains is the center of it all, and actually right now you're in the center of that hurricane, the eye that I talked about. And the back wall of the hurricane is us. The hurricane that has been hitting the earth over the last few hundred years is about to hit us all like we never imagined. I need you to not only be the strongest you can possibly be, the most healthiest you can be, but to prepare for shelter by staying vital and sharp. And I need you to also be a shelter through your actions for animals and our children. They depend on you for their future. Shelter, refuge, safe places, those are holy words. And I promise you it will be a struggle. But there is no greater reward than faith and work. And it certainly beats giving in to profane cynicism and selfishness when you have the opportunity to actually celebrate life, even in the midst of devastation.